Here's more wrestling news for September 10th, 2022, and we're starting off with AEW, and for the past month or so, a lot has been happening in AEW that has kept Tony Khan very busy. Not only has Khan had to put on weekly programming, but he's also had to deal with the fallout from All Out and having to suspend some of his top stars. Even before All Out, there had been reports of talent being unhappy, and during the latest PW Torch audio stream, Wade Keller gave an update on the situation. We've reached a point where Tony's roster is just so unwieldy, and I hear this from some of the younger guys, that they just feel ignored. They wish they knew what they were going to do when they showed up. They wish they had more of a way to talk to Tony. AEW has a large roster, which Keller described as bloated in his report, so it makes sense that Tony Khan can't deal with everyone he has employed. Nevertheless, Khan will have to think of some way to make these younger wrestlers feel recognized, or the AEW president could see a talent exodus very soon. Having to deal with all of these issues can't be easy on Tony Khan, but at least the AEW president is able to see the funny side of things despite this ongoing situation. A joke among wrestling fans is that Khan uses what we'll call certain substances to keep his energy up during press conferences, which explains some of his more erratic actions. When a meme emerged this week featuring Khan's head on Eddie Kingston's body surrounded by white powder, the image said that it was the AEW president confronting his enemies, and it even got a like by Khan himself. Of course, we have no confirmation that Khan uses a white powder or any other substance to keep himself motivated, but the AEW president liking this meme is certainly an odd move for TK to make. In August 2020, after months away, Roman Reigns didn't just return to WWE TV, but turned heel in the process. Fans who had waited on a John Cena heel turn that never came were thrilled to see this, and Reigns has been WWE's top heel for the past 2 years. Recently, it was reported that there are plans for Reigns to keep the undisputed WWE Universal Championship for the rest of the year and transition into being a babyface, but only half of that is true. When Ringside News asked around, they were told that Reigns and Paul Heyman refused to let the Tribal Chief character fall into any babyface category, and that they make sure that certain language is used to make it clear he's a heel. One such word is describing Reigns' role as a burden, and it was noted that any reports of Triple H or even Vince McMahon wanting a face turn are false. Despite being a heel, Reigns' work over the past 2 years have seen plenty of fans acknowledge him, but whatever the future holds, he'll do his job as a heel. Now, earlier this year, Pirotta was released from NXT 2.0 despite being in the middle of a storyline with Duke Hudson at the time. Now working under the name Steph DeLander, Pirotta is having to forge her career outside WWE, but her career is on hiatus for now. On Twitter, DeLander confirmed that she will be out for a couple of months with a small surgery and encouraged fans who want to support her to subscribe to her exclusive content at OnlyFans. It's still unknown what kind of injury Pirotta sustained that necessitated surgery, but we're wishing her a speedy recovery at this time. We've got a disturbing story from Devon Hannibal Nicholson now, who has been arrested and charged with assault. The veteran wrestler on the indie scene is alleged to have attacked a woman last month and will go on trial on October 12th in Kingston, Ontario, Canada. After being arrested, Nicholson appeared in a court of justice yesterday and posted bail, but must either stay with his parents or keep in contact with them until his trial date. Nicholson is no stranger to controversy, having stabbed referee Lando Del Toro with a spike at a world-class pro wrestling event late last year, which left the referee requiring emergency surgery to close the wound. In 2007, Nicholson faced Abdullah the Butcher, and after contracting hepatitis C from the Butcher, was awarded $2.3 million in damages. This is a serious case against Nicholson, and we'll continue to follow this story as more information comes out. In August 2021, Bobby Fish was released by WWE and joined AEW just a few months later. Despite reuniting with Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole, AEW wasn't the right fit for Fish though, as he recently left the company after the two sides failed to come to terms over a new deal. Speaking to Steve Fall of NBC Sports Boston and SE Scoops this week, Fish spoke about his run in WWE and said he's not opposed to a return. Fish said he's seen plenty of ex-NXT names go back and do big things since doing so, and he's happy that WWE is a good place to be again. A former NXT Tag Team Champion and an ex-AEW name, you'll have to think that Fish will be a name Triple H wants to re-sign after bringing back NXT alum like Karrion Kross, Hit Row, Johnny Gargano, and Dexter Lumis. At this time, Fish is a free agent and isn't signed for any official deal anywhere, but for how long this free agency lasts remains to be seen. In May, Sasha Banks and Naomi walked out of Raw, and while there was a time when it seemed like they were finished with WWE, that's no longer the case. Instead, Banks and Naomi are expected to return to WWE programming soon, but they've been strutting their stuff this week out of the ring. This week, the former WWE Women's Tag Team Champions walked the runway for New York Fashion Week in the latest public outing for the two. Banks and Naomi appeared last month for the premiere of Marvel's She-Hulk Attorney at Law, and more recently at a baseball game with fellow WWE talent Bayley and Titus O'Neil. We can't say for sure when exactly Banks and Naomi will be back in the ring, but until that time comes, the pair are living their best lives outside of the squared circle. At All Out, Thunder Rosa was meant to defend the AEW Women's World Championship against Toni Storm, but an injury forced Rosa to pull out. There have been rumors that this injury is just a work to keep Rosa away from AEW, as she currently has significant heat with some in the locker room, including Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter. Writing in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer reports that while Rosa's injury is legitimate, that many in the locker room believe she's exaggerating just how hurt she really is. The belief is that after learning of the plan to drop the title to Storm at All Out, Rosa hammed up her injury to get out of the match and could have worked All Out if she wanted to. Meltzer compared the situation to Shawn Michaels, who vacated the WWF title in 1997 due to injuries and losing his smile, but in all actuality could still wrestle and just wanted to avoid losing to Bret Hart. Rosa has insisted that the injury is as real and painful as she claims, saying this week that she couldn't get out of bed because of the pain, but some in AEW think the champion is more deserving of an Oscar than a title belt. And we're ending today with Paul Heyman, who hasn't been seen on WWE programming in quite some time. Heyman was conspicuous by his absence at WWE Clash at the Castle last weekend, and there's a reason for the special counsel Roman Reigns being nowhere to be seen. According to the Wrestling Observer, WWE is waiting on bringing Heyman back as they want to give him a quote, dynamic return. Heyman has been selling the F5 he received from Brock Lesnar back at SummerSlam, but there's no word yet on when this dynamic return will take place. While Heyman isn't expected back soon, Reigns still has Sami Zayn, the Usos, and now Solo Sikoa in the bloodline, so the head of the table is expected to remain undisputed WWE Universal Champion for some time to come. Well guys, that's our news for today. Please share your comments below. Also hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.